Well, I'm Terry Dafter. I'm Director of Adult Social Care in Stockport, Metropolitan Borough, part of Greater Manchester. As part of my ADAS role, I am a Joint Chair of the Standards and Performance Committee, as they call it, and I'm also the Chair of ADAS Information Management Group, or IMG. The IMG group is established in order to work within ADAS and perhaps more nationally around information management, IT systems within adult social care. And we've been a bit of a niche little hobby almost, I think, for a number of years. But more recently, the issue of integration between health and social care systems has become much more to the fore. And it's evident that from a national perspective, the push towards integrating health and social care is seen as, well, firstly, hugely important, but secondly, something which needs to be underpinned by good integration of systems. The Information Management Group has been tasked with working with the Department of Health around this agenda, and it covers a number of areas really. It covers stuff around having shared standards, because at the minute there are no shared standards between health and social care in terms of data. So if we wanted to send data, say between ourselves and health, that will be very difficult at the minute because we don't have a shared standard for sending that data. There's stuff around what information governance, which is around the fact that we have different what's called IG or information governance toolkits in health and social care, and they can be a barrier to sharing because basically you have to pass each other's IG toolkit. So for us to get on a health system, we have to pass their IG toolkit and vice versa. So there's loads of clunky resistance and barriers there to joint information sharing. There's work around information and advice, because that's something which is increasingly important to government in terms of, as the DILNOTS measures come in, are people going to get access to good information and advice? Will they be readily available? Where will they go, given the higher level of publicity that there will be around it? So information advice is key. The other area which I think we are still starting to tentatively think about is this online assessment business, where we're hearing about online assessments, and this seems to be something in the ether, and it's something that we're starting to think about. But again, how will that work? And how will that also work with things like care accounts? Because again, there will be an expectation that, okay, I'm interested, I think I might be eligible, where do I go then to have that eligibility tested? And if I am eligible, where's my care account held? And how is that then managed by the local authority? Within that, there's an expectation of having a care calculator. So how can my current expenditure be logged into that system? How can it then count down so I know when I might be eligible for funding support from the council? And equally, is there a standardised approach to the data, so that in a sense, if I move from Stockport to Manchester or Stockport to Townside, can I just take that data with me? Is it portable, or do I have to tell my story all over again? About 5 years ago, we had a look at what our offer was then, and it was found really that when we tested it out on a number of people who volunteered to do the experiment, I suppose, which was to just test out some scenarios like, I think I need a stair lift, or my mum's starting to wander, what do I do? And we found that the offer that we had then was quite clunky and often just led people to a PDF leaflet that was slightly out of date and told you to ring somebody, so it wasn't particularly helpful. So basically we commissioned and co-produced a website that challenged, in a sense, some of the other thinking that was around at the time, like when we talk to people, social care is a service of last resort. It's a very negative service to deal with. You only go to social care when you're absolutely have to. And the image of social care was very, very negative, really. So we worked on the website, and we co-produced the website with service users, and deliberately created very positive images. So you had not quite people dancing with Zimmer frames, but we weren't far off, you know, to try and give a very upbeat, you know, positive colour, positive image of some of this. And we've now moved on with that, and we want to now integrate, if you like, that website approach into a wider marketplace, so people can not only if you like, come along and see quite positive images and browse and see what's available, but equally to act as a stimulus for quite alternative methods of offering provision. So under personalisation, we now have a number of services that aren't traditional, but actually you know, offer quite an interesting variety on the traditional areas of service. So people who offer walking clubs, for instance, or outings and this sort of thing. So it's not just dwelling on traditional services, it's saying, well, actually there's a lot of other things that you can do and a lot of other things that you could use your money for, which will help you re-engage with your local community or build capacity in your local community. In terms of the external website, I mean, obviously the other area it's helped in is around micro businesses, because we've wanted to encourage and use the site for local social enterprises, user-led organisations, micro enterprises to get started and have an opportunity to, you know, demonstrate what they're offering. So for instance, we now have a yoga group that have advertised on the site and are getting lots of hits and lots of interest. So that's one sort of practical example, if you like, of a micro business that's really starting to get going now. And I suppose that links up and joins up with the internal work we've been doing around the digital engagement, which is the Care Knowledge site, which we've had going now for about 3-4 years. And it started on a fairly small scale, and we just thought we'd give it a go, really, and see how it worked. But it's proved over time a really good way and a great way, really, of communicating not only with staff but encouraging service users and service user groups to tell their story to staff as well. So how it works is we've got our information and communications team, which is small and getting smaller, have access to 2 or 3 cameras that they then use and take out to visits and to take to events, and just let carers or user groups and so on tell their story on camera about what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. And we've had, you know, now I would think, well, we've got hundreds of videos on the site now, and it's updated weekly. I do blogs on it and give people an update on what's happening around the budget or integration or whatever else is happening within the department currently. But equally, senior managers and other managers will also talk to the camera and give their side of events about what's happening and what the priorities are. So it's a quick and efficient way of getting sometimes quite complicated messages out, and it certainly saves me a lot of writing and having to prepare sort of lengthy briefings, because I can just, you know, get somebody from the information team, talk to the camera for 5 or 10 minutes, and the job is done, and it's out the following week, and people can comment and people can you know, say what they think. And I've sometimes then got engaged in exchanges sometimes with people who've made comments, wanted clarification or had their views heard, so it can be interactive. The other interesting thing we've done, of course, is to open Care Knowledge up to other groups as well, or other partners. So for instance, colleagues in health can now access Care Knowledge, they get the weekly email as well. And most importantly, I think user groups as well, because there are a number of user groups, especially in mental health, who have made use of the site and have got a number of really interesting blogs on there from service users or service user reps. And again, it's a good way of just getting that message across to staff, and equally service users find it really encouraging, or just a really good thing to be able to tell their story to staff. I've had a number of people who've gone on the site and made films about their experiences, who've said it's been really good to know that this message is going to be getting across to social workers or other people within your organisation. And it is a really good workforce development tool, because we use it in workshops, we use it in training sessions, and briefings, staff briefings. We've used it before now. So again, it's quite a useful tool for getting our messages over to staff. So staff have access to it. They sign up to it. They then get a weekly reminder email, which then allows them to log on, and it gives them access to the full site, and equally it gives them access to the broader Care Knowledge site, which gives the national developments and the national policy framework. So you get a Stockport page and a national page, and it just is a good knowledge site about what's happening in the country as a whole and where things are up to, but equally what's going on in Stockport. I think we've built a good understanding and a good working relationship over the years. We've got OLM as our sort of main database, and I think in the last year, 2 years, and I'm not getting paid for doing this video, I hasten to add, but genuinely over the last couple of years, I think OLM has raised its game a lot around personalisation and actually sort of capturing what we need in terms of the future. So we just invested in My Life, which is an outward-facing, which fits the bill in the sense of the outward-facing website side of things, but equally that now really links in well with the business processes that we're building and around personalisation. That we like the fact that OLM, we can work on OLM, so we can create forms, we can tweak the business processes if we need to, but equally we've got help on hand if we get in too deep. We live in a digital age. We live in an age where technology is underpinning everything, and why shouldn't people be able to go out and use a mobile device in people's homes when they're doing assessments? Why shouldn't people be able to look online at their care record and say, I'm not sure that's right, and communicate with the social worker or other care professional in that way? I think these are exciting times, really, and technology's got tremendous potential to help and to assist and to support in ways that probably we're still only just learning about and thinking about. But it's interesting times, and we should embrace it, really.